Cuba has become the first country in the world to vaccinate children from the age of 2 against COVID-19. Scientists there have come up with several vaccine options, which the government says are highly effective. The move is part of a drive to reopen schools again.
The latest phase of Cuba's vaccination rollout is underway, administering homegrown vaccines to children as young as 2. The first country in the world to do so. And the patients here say they're not afraid of anything.
A mí no me da miedo nada.
Despite his bravery, there are concerns that Cuba's 2 vaccines haven't undergone international peer review, though they have been put through clinical trials like this.
I want to get vaccinated in this trial to help my friends from school to get vaccinated too, so they don't get coronavirus.
The government is accelerating inoculations in a bid to get all schools open after 18 months shut.
I always wanted to get vaccinated. I was waiting for them to tell me when, and here I am.
Cuba hasn't been spared the kind of misery that the rest of the world has seen. Half of its COVID-19 deaths have occurred in the last month. Recently, hundreds of doctors were recalled from abroad to help in the fight at home.
It seems to me that the Ministry of Public Health should have organised itself a little better in anticipation of this outbreak and not make you wait so long outside a hospital to get a bed. The increase in cases is happening all over the place. I was watching the Olympic Games in Japan, which has 40,000 times more economic prospects than us, but it also has problems again with COVID. Who's responsible? We don't know.
Whatever's to blame for the spike, the government is now betting on their homemade vaccines providing the solution, helping to get kids back in the classroom, despite questions remaining over safety and efficacy.
Joining me now from Lancaster is viral infection and vaccine expert Mohammed Munir. Mr. Munir, not much is known about these vaccines developed and widely administered in Cuba. What's your assessment of their safety and efficacy?
Well, Cuba is probably one of the only countries in Latin America that have started developing their own vaccine and at the scale that they are demonstrating their efficacy. But the major problem really is that we have no published peer review reports. All of the information about the efficacy and the safety has been only through the press releases. And both of these vaccines, the one Sabrina and Abdullah, both of them have been documented as effective as more than 90% in 2-dose or 3-dose regime, but none of that report is really available. So therefore, it's very difficult to assess from an independent perspective whether those vaccines have really gone through a rigorous trial to the level where other international vaccine that has been approved by WHO or other European or American regulatory bodies. So therefore, certainly there are questions that needed to be addressed before an independent person could make a fair judgment.
Do we know anything about how the Cuban vaccines work?
Yes, absolutely we do now, because that is the information that is publicly available. Both the vaccine, the Abdullah and Sabrina, and basically all the series of Sabrina has been based on a subunit adjuvanted vaccine, which means that they take the spike protein of the coronavirus and put it into the mammalian cell or into the bacteria to harvest the spike protein. And that harvested spike protein is mixed with adjuvants such as tetanus oxide as an adjuvant to induce the immune system. So these are basically the same technology as Novavax, the one US-based manufacturer, which has got approval in India at the moment. So the technology is pretty proven. It's very easy to manufacture, very economical. Storage is not really a problem. But again, the technology itself is not until it is really demonstrated the way it should work.
And at this point, no other vaccine is being used on toddlers. For you as an expert, do you think it's safe to administer these shots to toddlers, to kids as young as 2 years?
Well, that is really a big question. I mean, as you know, in the whole world, there is a strong debate ongoing whether we need to vaccinate that young children or not. But if we really look onto the data, out of 1 million infections in children, only 2 have died of COVID-19, which means that the overall risk of the COVID-19 infection in children is negligible. The reason that we would like to vaccinate children is really twofold. One is to avoid the long COVID establishment in the young children, or secondly, to avoid the transmission, because if the transmission is carrying on in the younger children, that means we won't be able to block the transmission, and therefore we won't be able to have a handle on the pandemic. So certainly we need to vaccinate children at that level. But with the vaccine, those are having not going through the rigorous review process globally, and then using it in 2 years old, I think it is really too early to say that.
Thank you very much. That was viral infection and vaccine expert Muhammad Munir.
Thanks for having me.